Think about your commute this morning. Do you remember the exact shape of the clouds or the color of the jacket worn by the person standing next to you? Most of us navigate the world on autopilot, letting a million intricate visual details wash right past us without a second thought. Helen Keller lived her entire life in the dark, yet she possessed an intimate understanding of her environment that put sighted people to shame. Without the ability to see or hear, she had to build a mental map of reality by decoding physical feedback gathered strictly through her fingertips. She learned to distinguish the delicate symmetry of a leaf or the rough, shaggy surface of a pine tree, and she could recognize the remarkably smooth, peeling skin of a silver birch. Now, imagine a doctor tells you that in exactly 72 hours, you will lose your sight permanently. How exactly would you spend those final 3 days? Keller actually sat down and mapped out a meticulous, hour-by-hour itinerary for this exact hypothetical scenario, a window where she suddenly gains the use of her eyes, knowing a strict clock is ticking down. Her plan for those 72 hours is designed to test the limits of human observation, forcing a choice between the world's grandest sights and its most overlooked details. On her very first day of sight, Keller skips the grand landscapes and world wonders entirely. Her absolute first priority is spending time looking at the people who have made her life worth living. Up to this point, she has only known her friends by tracing the physical outlines of their faces with her hands, detecting their obvious emotions through the mechanical shifts of their jaws and cheeks. She wants to finally look directly into their eyes. She calls the eye that window of the soul, the one place where she can observe their true, unspoken emotions without needing to physically touch them. Connection takes precedence over aesthetics in Keller's worldview. For her, sight finds its highest value in the ability to bridge the emotional gap between two people. Day 2 begins before sunrise. She wants to watch the thrilling visual miracle of night transforming into day, absorbing the massive panorama of light as the sun wakes up the earth. With her immediate personal circle memorized, her focus shifts to the macro scale. She heads straight to the city's museums to absorb the condensed history of the planet. She wants to visually consume the pageant of human progress, standing beneath the colossal frames of dinosaurs and mastodons to grasp the mammoth scale of the creatures that ruled the world long before we arrived. There is a stark visual contrast here that she wants to witness in person: the overwhelming physical mass of these extinct animals, standing next to the tiny stature and powerful surviving brain of mankind. Her second day is driven entirely by a need for context. She uses her brief window of sight to position humanity and herself within the vast timeline of biological existence. On her third and final morning, Keller leaves the ancient past behind and immerses herself in the grinding reality of the workaday world. She heads to the city and stands at a busy intersection, doing nothing but watching the chaotic flow of ordinary strangers going about the business of their lives. Scanning the crowd, she looks for a raw, unfiltered spectrum of emotion: smiles that make her happy, determination that makes her proud, and suffering that stirs compassion. But just as she begins to truly understand the rhythm of modern society, the clock strikes midnight. Permanent darkness immediately closes in on her again, and only as the blackness descends does she realize exactly how much of the world she left unseen in those short 72 hours. As the clock runs out, Keller finds more meaning in the expressions of strangers at a street corner than in the curated displays of history. Real beauty lives in the raw, messy reality of the crowd. Of course, Keller never actually got those 3 days. She lived the rest of her life in permanent darkness. But she left behind a strict directive for the seeing world. She asks us to use our eyes today exactly as if we will be stricken blind tomorrow. And this philosophy extends to all of our physical senses. She challenges us to hear the song of a bird or the mighty strains of an orchestra with the desperation of someone who will wake up deaf in the morning. She demands that we touch every object and savor the taste of every morsel of food, as if our tactile and olfactory senses are about to permanently fail. This thought experiment forces a confrontation with the temporary nature of our senses. Keller's wish reveals that the things we perceive as permanent guarantees are actually fragile, fleeting gifts.